When Zoe Perry stepped into the shoes of Mary Cooper, the protective, Bible-loving mother of a young genius in young Sheldon, it wasn't just a casting coup. It was a passing of the torch. Her mother, Laurie Metcalf, had already made the role iconic in The Big Bang Theory. To millions of viewers, Metcalf was Mary Cooper. Sharp-witted, sharp-tongued, deeply religious, and somehow always 2 steps ahead of her genius son. So when CBS announced that Zoe Perry, Metcalf's real-life daughter, would play the younger version of the character in the prequel series, the casting seemed almost too perfect. But for Perry, the challenge was layered. She wasn't just following in the footsteps of a legendary character, she was following her mother's footsteps. The expectations were sky-high. Would audiences see her as a believable younger Mary Cooper? Could she balance the familiar cadence and personality with fresh vulnerability? Would she bring something new, without straying from the character fans adored? It turns out, she had a secret weapon, and it wasn't method acting, a dialect coach, or old tapes of The Big Bang Theory. It was a tip. A simple, human, mother-to-daughter tip, and it changed everything. "She gave me a wonderful tip," Perry once shared in an interview, her voice soft with emotion and respect. "She told me to think of Mary not as a caricature, but as a real woman, a mother, doing her best. She said, 'Play the truth, not the stereotype.'" It was advice only a mother, and especially that mother, could give. A legacy of talent. To understand the weight of that tip, you have to understand the dynamic between Zoe Perry and Laurie Metcalf. Metcalf is a powerhouse performer, known for her Emmy-winning roles, her masterful timing, and her deep emotional range. Her portrayal of Mary Cooper in The Big Bang Theory was both funny and touching, capturing the complexities of a deeply religious Southern mother raising a child she didn't quite understand but fiercely loved. Zoe Perry grew up in that shadow, but also under that light. Acting was in her blood, but she didn't ride in on her family's name. In fact, she avoided the industry in her early years, focusing on finding her own path. It wasn't until later that she circled back to acting, building her career with guest spots, theater, and slowly growing into lead roles. So when young Sheldon came around, and casting directors sought someone who could be Mary Cooper at 30-something, Perry wasn't handed the role, she earned it. But still, when it came time to step in front of the camera, the looming figure of Mary, of her mother's Mary, was right there. Making Mary her own. Perry's first step was research. Not just into the scripts of The Big Bang Theory, but into the emotional world of a mother raising a prodigy in a small Texas town. "She's not just comic relief," Perry said in another interview. "She's holding her family together. That's something my mom really emphasized, to find the love beneath the lines." The wonderful tip, "Play the truth, not the stereotype," became her mantra. It's easy to reduce a character like Mary Cooper to a checklist: Southern accent, tough love, Bible verses. But Perry, guided by her mother's wisdom, looked deeper. She asked the questions every great actor asks. What does Mary fear? What does she hide? What does she hope for? In young Sheldon, Perry found moments of raw honesty. Whether it was Mary breaking down in the car after a hard day or defending her quirky son from bullies and misunderstanding teachers, Perry layered the performance with tenderness. She wasn't just playing a younger Metcalf, she was building the road that would lead to her. Mother to daughter, character to character. What's remarkable about the mother-daughter dynamic in this story is how rarely it happens so directly in television. Imagine being advised by the exact person who made the role famous. Not as a coach or consultant, but as a parent. Metcalf didn't coach her daughter on every line. She didn't insist Perry mimic her delivery or posture. Instead, she gave her space, and a foundation. "She wanted me to find my own version of Mary," Perry said. "But she also reminded me that Mary's strength doesn't come from volume. It comes from belief. In her family, in her God, in herself." That, Perry says, was the breakthrough. Suddenly, the character wasn't a performance. It was a connection. Between mother and daughter. Between generations of actors. Between iterations of the same woman, seen through time. The impact on screen. The result of all this, the tip, the legacy, the intention, is clear every time Perry is on screen. Audiences embraced her Mary Cooper not just because she resembled the older version, but because she felt like her. You could see the roots of Metcalfe's Mary in Perry's eyes, in the way she calmed Sheldon, or held her ground against George Sr., or prayed with her hands clenched tightly in hope. Yet Perry brought new shades, a weariness, a hope, a rawness that was different than the confident, older Mary. It wasn't imitation, it was evolution. Full circle, there's a quiet poetry in the fact that Zoe Perry is, quite literally, playing a younger version of a character her mother played. It's more than casting, it's narrative alchemy. And it worked because of something deeper than genetics or performance skill. It worked because of one wonderful tip. Not a complex method. Not a secret formula. Just this. Play the truth, not the stereotype. In those 7 words, a mother gave her daughter the freedom to be honest, and the permission to be different. She didn't ask her to copy. She asked her to feel. And that made all the difference. So when you watch young Sheldon, and see Zoe Perry light up the screen as Mary Cooper, remember, behind that performance is a line of love, one that stretches from actress to character, from mother to daughter, and back again. Would you like this adapted into a blog post or script format?